One of the biggest misunderstandings people have is, hey, if I have to become a UX designer, all I have to do is I have to do some research and all, that's it. No. Silent, not talking with anyone, no asking any questions. After 48 hours, bang. And there's no textbook way of doing this, right? Multiple companies follow multiple different ways, but I'm telling you a general process which a lot of companies follow. Desperation doesn't work in two places. One, finding a date or finding your partner, finding a company where you want to work. Willingness to learn. If you don't know about it, don't do it. Whew. Okay, now let's talk about job interviews. Yeah, of which I also gave a small idea about, right? I told you this story about UX job interviews. It's not about that Swayamvara, it's that there's a queen over there, a lot of Rajas came, right? And then they're trying to, that is not how UX design works. It's about the compatibility between the company and the person. It's about finding the right kind of match, right? You might be a right match for a company, let us say some Zepto, right? You might be the right kind of a match for a company called Zepto, but probably you're not the right kind of match for Swiggy. And probably you're the right kind of match for Amazon, right? It's about the match. We'll go backwards from what happens in a UX design interview process, right? The kind of people they are actually looking for, and how is it that you can be prepared for them. Let's say the first thing is, as a fresher UX designer, as a beginner UX designer, your first job, what is it that you are expected to do? Let's talk from there, right? And then let's go back to what is it that they do to hire these people, and how is that you can prepare. Let's go backwards from there. So as a fresher UX designer, what you are expected to do is, the first expectation is that you go and work with existing or senior UX designers. You must say, hey, what, you're joking or what? Like, what simple things you're telling? But this is very, very important. Let me tell you. As I told you, the company is hiring you. They are not going to do it like a Swayamvar. It's not like that 280 cutoff for IIT, therefore you're qualified. It's not like that. Since UX design role is a lot ambiguous role, and they also know that you do not have experience, it is very, very important as a beginner UX designer to go and work with those people who are like a little bit experienced, a little bit seniors in the company, so that you understand the right perspectives for going and solving problems in the company. You might say that, hey, Anudeep, obviously you'll work with seniors. What is there to learn from this? So one of the biggest things which is very, very important, which you should note down is, therefore, they look for something called as your willingness to learn. One of the biggest qualities which I really totally insist to my students, and they carefully showcase this in their interviews and they get hired, because more than anything else, from freshers, what they need is this person willing to learn or not? If they're not willing to learn, if they just consider themselves, you know what, I'm an expert, I know all these things, what you want card sorting, I can do. Let me tell you, a lot of these people get rejected, because that's the problem. People think I need to showcase that I'm an expert in a call which happens, in an interview which happens hiring for a fresher. You don't have to prove that you're an expert. You need to prove that you are willing to learn whatever. But there's a small trick over here. Let me also explain that. I'm not saying, hey, you know what, go and say, hey, I don't know anything here. I mean, like, nothing I know. Whatever you teach, I'll consider you as my Baba. I'll consider him as a God. I'll do whatever. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I need to showcase to them is, this is the potential at which I can perform. This is what I have learned. But I need to understand how is that I can apply all these things when I actually perform them in real life. And that is the kind of mentorship I'm expecting from you. And I'm willing to learn each and everything, going to spend every part of my energy going to learn these things. You need to showcase this. Your willingness to learn is one of the most important qualities which you need to show when you're applying for your UX design roles. Then what happens? These people are beginner UX designers coming back, are expected to go and aid the senior designers or the management or the leadership in making those things which are not really very much impactful. I'll tell you how, right? Let us say there is an existing system. Let's say there's an existing design system, right? There is an existing problem which someone is trying to solve. A very small part of the problem which they're trying to solve, which with some existing elements, you go and try to solve. You go and get data from some of the senior people who are there and try to solve this problem and do it in a very quick manner, assisting the person who is already solving bigger problems in the company, right? So what does this mean? This is usually what happens. Okay, I'll talk to those situations where the company is only hiring for one designer. You are the first designer for the company ever. I'll talk about those cases a little bit later, right? But the first thing is you're working with these senior stakeholders, and the next thing is the kind of work you do, right? So what happens over here is you need to showcase that you know the UX design process, and you know what kind of process to apply at what point of time, right? Like I told you in that fan example, you would not hire a person who just completely removes whatever small. You just have to clean the fan. No, sir, we'll remove the fan. That is the only process, right? That is very important over here. They need to trust you that you know the process and you have the judgment to go and say that given this problem, I'll be using this part of the UX design process over here to get results. Very, very important point. It's not about going and applying the entire UX design process because you learned it in your portfolio and you build your portfolio. No, it's about understanding, having the maturity that what part of the process should I apply given this small problem to me. So therefore, going backwards from this, that is what they actually look for when they want to hire this beginner UX designer. What they try to do is they go and look for this. Do they have understanding about multiple UX process, multiple steps in UX process, and do they have proper reasoning for what they're trying to do? So that they will simply not do that blindly, but try and put those relevant steps so that they can aid the senior UX designers when they actually get hired. So this is one of the second points, that is, you know the UX design process and you know what to apply where and why. And then what happens is, this is one of the biggest, most important points. Please carefully listen. As a beginner UX designer, or in any job role for that matter, forget UX design, any job role, you will be involved lesser in strategy and you'll be involved more into execution. Let me explain what does this mean. A senior UX designer sitting in the same company tries to involve more in the strategies which needs to be done. Let us say you're trying to solve the problem. Let us say a fashion app, let's say Myntra, right? And you're trying to understand how to filter between multiple sizes of products. Let's say that's the problem you're trying to solve. The senior UX designer involves more in understanding and trying to get data about the strategy about how to apply filters. You will basically bother more about how to execute that over there. What exact kind of filters do I put over there? What exact results will people get over there is what you'll involve more about. So what does this mean? This means that you need to showcase the skills that you can go and deliver results. That means you're not just a person who will only think, but you are someone who can get to the results. That means one of the biggest misunderstandings people have is, hey, if I have to become a UX designer, all I have to do is I have to do some research and all, that's it. I don't have to make screens. I don't have to make that UI and all. No. You need to learn UI. You need to build those screens. You need to deliver results. Your users are going to use screens. Your users are not going to read your research reports. You got this? So therefore, execution is very important, and that's what is expected from you. How is it that you are showcasing the potential that you can drive results? Which means, can you make those screens? Can you analyze the research? Can you go and build architectures? Can you go and present insights on the usability testing? Can you do all these things? Can you drive those things to the results? Is something which you are judged for as well, which you need to clearly note down. You got that? Right? So please clear this misunderstanding that I'll only write about how I think and I can be hired. It doesn't happen. Now we have discussed one of the biggest things which beginner UX designers do. So let's talk about the interview process. What happens when they hire a UX designer, right? So what happens is, the first thing, all of you can also note down these processes which happens. And there's no textbook way of doing this, right? Multiple companies follow multiple different ways, but I'm telling you a general process which a lot of companies follow. So what they do is, obviously they'll first ask you to submit your resume and portfolio, right? Why? What is this resume? What is this portfolio? Resume is nothing but a brief description about what you are, what are the kind of projects you have done, what, like right from my childhood, what is that you have done, what kind of skills do you have, so that they can understand whether you're the right fit for the company or not. And then there is this portfolio, right, which is nothing but the kind of things which I spoke about, right? How did you showcase the whole thought process about what kind of problems you solved, right, as a beginner? So they'll ask you these things. So the company, what it does is, they look at your resume and portfolio and say, oh, okay, possibly this person is interesting to talk with, so let me go and talk to this person. And what happens is, a lot of designers get rejected at this stage only, because clearly when we see their portfolio, fully formulas, no reasoning, nothing. Clearly we know, even if you talk to that person, it will be 1 hour waste of time, because they'll not be able to give any answers. We know that, right? So biggest mistakes: do not follow formula portfolios. Do not. Let it be a small problem. Let it be only few steps in the process. Be genuine. Do whatever is what you have learned and what you want to showcase. Just don't go and follow formulas. One of the biggest things, right? So first thing is portfolio screening. It's called portfolio screening, right? Okay, then what happens is, let's say they have decided that, hey, you know what? This guy's resume is good. This guy's portfolio is very good. What I'll do is, let me go and have a talk with them. This round is called as phone screening. Yeah, note that down. Phone screening. What does it mean? Having a phone call with you, trying to understand who you are. What they do is, one of the biggest questions they ask, first questions they ask in the phone screening round and multiple stages of the interview is, hey, can you please tell me who you are? Why did you get here? Why are you into UX design? Can you please tell me your story? Therefore, one of the biggest things which you need to do is build your story. Understanding who you are, how is it that you are fitting into UX design, what skills do you already possess is one of the biggest things you need to work on. So your answers are prepared. Awesome, great. Like, hey, awesome, very good. You can see your portfolio over there. I can see some of the works which you have done, and I can also see that you have a great potential. So come on, let's start the interview process. So what happens is, then the next step, it can happen in a physical location or it can happen online as well. Doesn't matter. But the next step is called as portfolio round. Please note this down. Portfolio round. What happens in this round? A bunch of people in the company, let us say senior UX designers, head of design probably sometimes, product managers, developers, or all these people, they sit at one place and they say, hey, please showcase your portfolio and go through what is that you have done. We want to see and understand your thought process, and we want to understand your potential. It is a presentation about what is it that you have worked on. So what happens? You need to present what is that you have done to a bunch of people. In that round, they'll probably ask you very minimal questions, right? But they're only trying to understand you. So what is the takeaway which you have to do over here? What you need to do is, you need to prepare a presentation of your portfolio. You need to prepare about the kind of story you want to tell about the case studies that you have worked on, which can be best done if you make a video of it. So some of the things, most of my students, what they do is, the whole portfolio, what they have done, they make a video of it. They make a 5-minute video of this entire project which they have done. So that what they can do is, they can start by showing this video to that people in the portfolio round. Overall summary of the entire thing which they have done clearly indicates what they have done, right? And they give the remaining, let's say probably it's around 1 hour, they give more than 50 minutes so that people can ask questions about the individual aspects in their portfolio. So first takeaway is, if possible, try and make a video of the work which you have done. That's the first point here. The next point here is very, very, very important again is, please just don't go blindly with your portfolio. Prepare with the kind of questions people might ask about your portfolio. And there is no formula way of doing it. Very, very clearly, I'm telling you. If you go and by heart your answers and go and give you over there, they'll show you the door. What does preparation mean? You prepare in a heartful manner. You know everything what you have done. Simple. You are truthful to what you have done. Anything they ask you, you just go and explain about it. You have a reasoning for everything you have done. That's it. That is what preparation means. Let us say, I'll just show you this. Something like, hey, I can see that you have divided them into 2 different kinds of people or 3 different kinds of people. There is some explorer, strategist, and sprinter. I can see that, but why did you divide them into 3 parts? So what you can do is, you can go and look and get this, that, oh, they're trying to ask me that why is it into 3 parts? How do you answer this question? Very simple. If you have done it yourself, if you are very genuine about it, if you know the reasoning about why is it that you have divided them into 3 different categories or 3 personas, you will be happily able to answer it. And that is what is the most important thing. They will try to see how genuine you are about this. Very, very important point, guys. How genuine you are about whatever you're trying to do. And if you don't know something, very, very, very important. If you don't know something, please do not go and bluff. Don't say, just don't make up answers over there. Hey, you know what? At my level, I couldn't figure that out. I didn't know about it. But since you're asking, it looks like it's a very important thing to have. So can I know more about it? I'm willing to learn more about it. Willingness to learn. If you don't know about it, don't bullshit. Showcase your willingness to learn. It is expected that you will not know everything. They're not hiring for gods. They're not hiring for experienced people. Even from experienced people, they don't expect that you know everything. They are hiring for freshers. So do not bullshit them trying to say that, Oh, yeah, there is a reason. Then don't make up a reason, they'll immediately catch you. Showcase your willingness to learn, admit that you don't know about it and you are willing to learn about it. So, we spoke about what happens in the portfolio round. Then, what happens is there'll be multiple rounds of interviews. Okay, individual people will take in multiple rounds of interviews. But what you need to understand here is everyone will go into your projects and try to ask multiple questions about what you have done, right? Same thing, what you have done in the portfolio round, in an individual level, people try and go and ask you the questions. That'll happen. But next part comes after these interviews happen. What happens is, one of the biggest parts, what happens, some companies do it in this way and some companies do it another way. I'll tell you. What some companies do is, they go and conduct something called as a whiteboarding session. Okay, note this down. Please note this down again. What is this whiteboarding session? Say, hey, you know what? We understand your portfolio and all these things, which is great. You have done all that. But what we want to do is, we want to get a taste of how you can perform given a new problem, given a fresh problem. How is it that you will do and take your decisions? So you want to conduct this whiteboarding session. They'll give you a whiteboard, they'll give you a problem, they'll give you some time, probably some like half an hour, 45 minutes, or probably 1 hour, and they'll say, how is it that you will solve the problem? It's not about making those high-end screens and all that. A whiteboarding session is all about going and putting your thoughts out and showcasing how is it that you will follow a design process and move the project. That's it. All you have to do is completely put down your thoughts, speak out your thoughts, right? Literally like a mad person. Like if you're a mad person, you'll be like only thinking, and like, you know, on the road, if you see someone who is like just talking to themselves, you'll probably consider them as mad, right? That's exactly what you will do in a whiteboarding session. You'll keep talking to yourself. I understand that these are the 3 types of people which can come, but what happens if there is a 4th kind of a person? Probably what we'll do is we'll scope it down to these kind of 3 people. If the other person comes, probably we'll wait in the next version. So therefore, I'm going ahead with these 3. You are just trying to think out everything what you're trying to do. That's it. Whether they ask, whether they don't ask, you're trying to think everything. So that's one of the most important things of doing a whiteboard session. You want more clarity about it? I have made a full-fledged video on whiteboarding session. You can check it on my YouTube channel. Anyway, what some other companies do is, once they have this initial phone screening round, they also have this thing called as giving you assignments. They'll give you a design assignment and they'll give you a stipulated amount of time. They'll give you like some around 48 hours of time, or they'll give you like, sometimes they give you 5 days of time. And what they want you to do is they want you to go and solve that problem in that limited amount of time you have. And let me tell you what they do over here. It is very, very important that you go and understand that based on the time you have over there, you only do that much to understand what can be done at that best level. Very, very important, guys. A lot of beginners make mistakes over there. They think, oh, I have 2 days time, but I have to showcase everything I know about UX design in that 2 days time. They fail to deliver and they don't submit their assignments. No, this is not what companies are looking for. What they want to do is they want to see how is it that you will utilize these 48 hours. How is it that you will do the best thing possible in these 48 hours. So therefore, one of the biggest tricks while going and solving for your assignments is giving them a plan about how you are approaching the problem. A lot of designers don't do this. They don't plan. They just want to be perfectionists. They want to do everything and they fail. That's the first thing. Have a plan. The next thing, what you will do over here is communication. In the assignment, a lot of people, they do this. Given an assignment, silent, not talking with anyone, no asking any questions. After 48 hours, bang. One end climax like bang, they will show like, hey, this is my result. No, one of the biggest mistakes people do. Because when you're working in a company, this is not how it works. You will take a problem, you'll talk with the stakeholders, you have some doubts, you'll take those inputs, you're doing something, you're stuck somewhere, you'll talk to people, you're continuously in communication when you're actually doing real projects. Then why is it that in assignment, you're trying to take everything and only show the result at the end of the 48 hours? You don't have to. One of the biggest secrets. You need to go and make sure that every few hours, you update them about what you have done, what are the doubts you have, and if they don't reply, you also write down, if you don't reply to me, I am going ahead with these assumptions. Please note this down. You need to write down what are the assumptions you will go ahead with, some of the questions which you have, and what is that you have done every few hours. If it is a 48-hour thing, if it's a 5-day thing, probably every day you'll keep updating them. Communication is one of the very, very, very important things which you are judged on while you are going and doing the design assignment. And then what you do in the design assignment, very simple. If you have learned the UX design process, if you have learned about the multiple process, if you know how to use what, where, you'll be able to easily crack the assignment. You don't have to worry about that. And then what happens? After all this happens, they finally have a judgment about what kind of a person you are, right? And then obviously thing comes is your salary negotiation. Yeah, one of the most important things which happens in interview. How much? But let me tell you one thing, one trick. A lot of designers, when they approach these companies, what they do is they go and talk about salary after the end of the process, because the company obviously will talk then only. They'll wait for the entire, they'll do their assignment, they'll do everything, they'll put their portfolio, spend their 2 weeks. In the end, they'll talk to the company and talk about salary. And the company will say, hey, you know what, we thought we'll give 8 lakhs package for this. And then you're like, oh my God, I did all this for that money. Right? So let me tell you guys, please start your salary discussions, your expectation right in the first call, in your first phone screen. Please set your expectations. Hey, you know what? I think I have the potential to be at this range. If you're hiring for that range, probably let's take this process forward. If not, let's not take this forward. But you might ask me, hey Anudeep, how will I know my range? How is it that I can be so confident that I'll not take this forward? What? Yeah, you can tell hundreds of things. This will happen if you have a good mentor. Okay, we'll get back to how do you get there, right? But please note down that you set your salary expectations, understand your value and set your expectations right in the beginning. Please don't painfully go and do all this process in the end. Understand that the max they can pay is some 8 lakhs or whatever, and don't get into this trap. But then comes the point that, hey Anudeep, now let us say I'm there, let's say they're willing to pay, they're in that good range which I really want to ask. How do I negotiate my salary? You need to understand how is it that the company is a good match for you. This is a very, very important thing. You need to make the company realize that you are trying to understand the company, not the company understanding you. All that is already done. You got this. They've looked at your portfolio, they've made your assignment, all this is great. But in the salary negotiation, you are trying to understand the company, their culture, whatever it is, and you are trying to understand the value they have to give you. And let me tell you, you do that, they will understand that, oh God, we have to not miss this candidate because this person is looking for the right kind of things in the company. Therefore, let me retain this person. One of the biggest tricks. You need to understand the company in your salary negotiation, not the company trying to understand you, because definitely what they'll try to do is trying to push you towards the lower end, saying that, hey, you know what, you don't know all these things, you still need to learn a lot. Hey, you know what, we can only give you this much. They'll try to do that. But the more you try to go and understand the company, that is when they'll realize that, oh, we don't have a very good experienced senior designer. Oh, we don't have a proper design system. Okay, come on. I understand. Right? You got this dynamics. The company always will try to overpower you in that round. The only way to overpower them and tell you that, hey, you know what? I am much more qualified than what you can actually afford. Right? The only way to do this is to go and understand what the company is trying to do and whether that role is fit for you or not. This trick, I call this a trick, but this is the most obvious thing to do anyway. But yes, this will be called as a trick because a lot of people don't know it, right? This thing you do, I'm telling you, your salary negotiation round, I'm telling you, a lot of my students, they message me, hey, you know what, I'm going to this interview. Hey, Anudeep, I want to ask this. I said, no, this is your value. You can ask this much. And they're like shocked, like, what do you mean? This 2x of what I think I'm valuable for. And let me tell you, they do this and they get it also. The reason being the company also understands their value. So I'll close this with saying that please do not be a desperate person when you go and look for, when you go and do your interviews. Please do not do that. Desperation doesn't work in two places. One, finding a date or finding your partner, finding a company where you want to work with. In these two places, desperation doesn't work. It will give you very bad results. So please don't show your desperation. You follow all these things. You go with, whatever is the right match for you. I will go, whatever is the most compatible thing for me, I will go and work over there. I'm not desperate that some job I'll get, something I'll do. It will spoil your career. Please don't get there. Thank you for that.